Hello, everyone, and welcome to our evaluation and assessment plan for Ariella. Ariella is a 5-year-old girl living in a Kansas City suburb. She lives with her two parents and her 8-year-old brother. She also lives next door to her grandparents, who are actively involved in her upbringing. She attends kindergarten at a local private school. She comes from a bilingual family and speaks English and Spanish at home. She is an active child and enjoys basketball and soccer on her school's teams. She loves to play outside on the lake and look for eagles. She has no current diagnosis and hasn't received OT or any services in the past. Her parents do not express any current concerns regarding development. Ariella is an outgoing, friendly, and talkative child. She enjoys being helpful around the house and takes pride in her ability to help with laundry and clear the table. She also takes care of the family dog. She has a close relationship with her older brother and enjoys playing with him. Ariella also enjoys art projects, especially using beads to create necklaces. She also likes Frozen, Moana, and the Croods. During our evaluation, we took an OT profile of Ariella, conducted a clinical observation, and administered the Strengths and Difficulties Questionnaire, or SDQ, Family Routines Exploration and Description, or FRED, and Volitional Questionnaire, or VQ. The SDQ is made of 5 scales: emotional symptoms, conduct problems, hyperactivity, peer problems, and prosocial, in addition to total difficulty score. Ariella scored close to average on all scales and on the total difficulty score. This indicates she has strengths with the areas of emotion, temperament, personality, and social interaction skills, allowing her to have positive interactions and relationships with family and peers. The VQ provides information on an individual's motivation and gives indication of how motivation influences participation. We filled out the VQ while Ariella completed a Frozen-themed Identify the Difference activity. The results indicate she is a curious child who enjoys trying new things and challenging herself. She is able to initiate activities and remain engaged until task completion. She also shows pride in her work. However, she may need additional support in trying to solve problems and correct mistakes. The FRED is a semi-structured caregiver interview to help gain insight into family routines, challenges, and strategies. Ariella is independent in morning routine, including grooming, eating, and tidying room, and all activities besides styling her hair. She experiences challenges with getting ready on time due to distraction, and she becomes frustrated when rushed by her parents. Her parents currently manage this with timers and warnings. After school, she enjoys playing with her brother. However, she has a hard time communicating her wants and becomes frustrated when the activity is too hard or not something she wants to do. She has a hard time with independent play and needs assistance with choosing activities. Ariella's parents currently use a sticker chart for completing chores and homework. In the evenings, Ariella struggles with transition for bedtime and will sometimes get up after going to bed. Current top concerns include Ariella becoming more self-efficient during morning and bedtime routines, developing emotional regulation skills, and independently sharing ideas and taking turns when playing with her brother. Ariella has strengths in Adl and Iidl, as indicated by the FRED, in her ability to complete self-care tasks and chores. She does well in school, and education is a strength. Leisure and social participation are more difficult, as she has a hard time knowing what activities she wants to engage in and has difficulty playing with her brother. She is successful in her roles as daughter, granddaughter, sister, friend, and student. She sometimes has difficulties with routines. Ariella has strengths in all motor skills. She also demonstrates ability to inquire, initiate, and continue with activities. She struggles with attending to tasks and has a hard time adjusting when she makes a mistake or when challenges arise. She sometimes has a hard time with expressing emotions in an appropriate manner and taking turns. She experiences some challenges with the specific mental functions of attention and emotional. Based on evaluation results, we do not believe that Ariella would qualify for OT services. She is meeting all developmental milestones and not exhibiting any delays with motor skills or cognition. Although her parents have some behavioral concerns, these are all normal for her age and are not impeding her participation with education or making friends at school. MOHO allows us to look at Ariella's motivation, habits, routines, performance skills, and understand how these factors influence participation. She generally has good motivation. Ariella has set habits and routines, however, her current routines are limiting her performance in ADLs. She also has good motor skills, but struggles with emotional regulation and cognitive aspects of problem solving and correcting mistakes. The behavioral frame of reference asserts that learning occurs when behaviors are reinforced or punished, leading to repetition of adaptive behaviors and extinction of maladaptive behaviors. Through information from assessments, we can develop a behavioral support plan. Additionally, the cognitive frame of reference can be used to identify and develop cognitive strategies to improve task performance. These strategies will be used to help improve Ariella's problem-solving skills and allow her to increase self-efficacy while becoming more successful in task performance. Ariella's mom uses mindfulness and meditation for herself and has expressed interest in teaching her children the same. Mindfulness techniques will help Ariella identify and regulate her emotions. It can also be something the two of them do together and can be incorporated into their everyday routine. Go Noodle offers short meditation for children called Empower Tools. Zones of Regulation is another program that offers tools to identify and manage what zone of emotion she is in and provides tools for returning to the just right state. This attached handout describes the program and tips on how to incorporate into the family's everyday vocabulary and routines. While Ariella is not currently allowed to use the internet on her own, it's important to introduce concepts of internet safety before she starts using it more. Additionally, Ariella's house sits right on a lake and there's no fence or barrier between the yard and water, which is a consideration for outdoor play. Also, bike safety will be important before she learns how to ride a bike. Here are our 3 long-term goals for Ariella. Here's our outline for the first treatment session. We plan to have Ariella start the session by moving her body and completing the Go Noodle mood walk activity. This activity will have Ariella mimicking body movements associated with big emotions and hopefully help educate her on what different emotions can look like in the body. We will then introduce the main activity for the session, a partner painting activity with her brother Chavi. We will screen share a goal plan do check worksheet and help Ariella in completing a plan for how she'll make her painting. We plan to have her plan out what colors she'll use, materials she'll need, and how she'll cooperate with her brother to complete the activity. We will then invite Chavi, her brother, to join the session. We will demonstrate the activity by painting our own picture with camera focused on our paper and have Chavi and Ariella imitate what we paint. We will then have them hold up their final product and compare it with ours. We will then have them take turns to repeat the same process, switching roles after 5 minutes. After the activity is completed, Ariella and Chavi will clean up their workspace. We will then do 10 minutes of animal yoga as a self-regulation strategy that Ariella may use when she is stressed. We will then wrap up the session by completing the check part the goal plan do check worksheet with Ariella and her caregiver. We will also ask her to identify an emotion she felt while completing the activity. Here is a completed version of Ariella's goal plan do check worksheet. It took a lot of prompting and guided questions to help her come up with strategies and steps to the process. It was difficult to find the right balance of letting her come up with her own ideas while also facilitating the process. Ariella expressed that painting was her favorite activity. On the right is pictures that Alice and I drew. Can you guess who drew what? Here's a condensed version of their treatment note for session 1. Overall, Ariella was engaged and motivated through the session. During painting, she expressed concern about her brother taking up all of the good paint and said she didn't want to paint his idea. She also expressed frustration that his idea was too hard. Her decreased sustained attention, frustration tolerance, and problem solving limited her performance during the worksheet and painting activity. However, she was able to refocus on the activity after taking a 1-minute dance break. Overall, the session was fairly difficult to administer. We had anticipated that a caregiver would be present, but this wasn't the case for the entire session. We wanted to include her brother in an activity since this was a high priority for Mom, but it was difficult to regulate difficulties between the two of them without a caregiver present to intervene. However, the activity ended up being a rewarding experience for both of them, and Ariella expressed pride in her ability to guide Chavi through an activity. We plan to expand upon Ariella's self-regulation strategies by introducing zones of regulation in the next session. Although she is slightly under the recommended age, her ability to identify her own emotions after the activity today indicate that she may be ready for the program. This is the treatment plan for the second intervention session. We began the session by checking in with Ariella and see how she was doing. We then did a fun dance to the Go Noodle video, Banana Banana Meatball, in order to warm up for the session. We began the treatment with education on zones of regulation. We shared a photo on our screen with the zones of regulation depicted with inside-out characters for her reference during the education. We went through each zone and described how Ariella may feel in these zones and situations when she may feel this way. For example, we told her she may feel frustrated and be in the yellow zone when she is playing with her brother and he wants to do something that she doesn't want to do. We followed up with zones of regulation education with video clips from familiar TV shows, including Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood, Molly of Denali, and Arthur. We played Ariella the video clips and asked her what emotions she thought the character would be feeling and what zone she thinks the character would be in. We followed up by asking her how she came up with these answers. We then completed a mindfulness activity. We began by explaining mindfulness to Ariella. We told her it can be a good activity to calm the body down, especially when she is in the yellow or red zone. We used the Manage Frustration video by Empower Tools on GoNoodle. After the video, we asked her what she thought and then when she thinks she could use it. Next, we played Taboo with Ariella's brother in order to practice turn-taking and communication. Taboo is a game where players are given a word that the other players have to guess. However, there are words that are taboo and cannot be used when giving clues to guess the words. We had emailed Ariella's mom a list of words with a taboo clues for each one, and she was able to facilitate the game. Ariella, Chavi, Allison, and I each took turns being the player describing the word. The other players took turns, each player getting one guess per turn. We had 60 seconds to guess the word. Finally, we wrapped up the session by going over what we had done and saying goodbye. Our favorite activity overall was Taboo. It allowed us to practice turn-taking and using different words or ways of communication than what we might automatically want to use. It was also a good way to practice regulation of emotion, as the game easily became frustrating. We would not recommend further OT services for Ariella, as she is meeting developmental milestones and presents with typical motor, cognitive, behavioral, and social skills for a child her age. Although her parents have some behavioral concerns, they are not of concern for someone her age. We found providing telehealth services to children can be very challenging. It can be difficult to remain attentive to the task and much more difficult to provide explanations and assistance over telehealth. Caregiver assistance was crucial for the success of our treatment sessions. After difficulties with the first session, we requested that the caregiver be present for the entire second session. The caregiver was then very useful for providing assistance as needed and for keeping us cued into exactly what Ariella was doing and how she was doing it, as we could not always tell from the video. Additionally, it was more difficult to keep Ariella's attention over Zoomed, and we discovered how important it was to keep her entertained and interested throughout the session. That concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for watching. Please let us know if you have any questions.